friends, welcome to yet another edition of Shantiniketan Literature Festival's online meet. Today is the seventh day. We are here on a Sunday. I should thank you all that you have sacrificed your weekend to be here. Every one of you, including Urna. I know that weekends are busy, but that's the only time we get to kind of interact with you. So I'll tell you a little about Shantiniketan Literature Festival. And I'll call Shalini to begin the program with a Ganesh Vandana because Ganapati Puja is still on till the 17th, I believe. And then I'll ask Urna to take on from there. To now, Shanti in the Literature Festival, interestingly, the idea germinated with Anumita. She suggested that we have a festival, a literary meet, maybe we initially thought of a small get together of some poet friends. It wasn't of the scale or uh, uh, the way it evolved. That happened over a period of time, you know. So while I was doing a bit of research and I said, what should I name it? So what about Shantiniketan Literature Festival? I was quite sure somebody is organizing such a thing. And to my dismay, I found that there was no such thing as Shantiniketan Literature Festival. So we talked to our lawyers and others, and we have already applied for the trademark registration. So you see, when you see Shantiniketan Literature Festival written everywhere, within the circle you write TM. TM is trademark applied for. The moment we get it, which normally takes 18 months to 24 months, let's say 2 years, because it's a government thing and a whole lot of processes are there. So then we'll write R. We already have two trademarks with us, Kavikum and Different Truths. Different Truths is the official host of SLF. So that's about it. So there's no such thing as Shantiniketan Literature Festival. And it was the magic of the name that people from all over the country responded in huge numbers. At the last moment, some people could not come. There were certain things that came up. Some people said, okay, if not this year, then next year we will be there. So, this entire process started with a small talk or just a discussion, mere discussion with Anumita, who is the managing editor of Different Truths, and she's in Ohio, US. She's slightly caught up today also, so therefore she could not be here. So she says a big hi to all of you. So that was a bit about Shanti Literature Festival. And another interesting thing is that even during the physical meet, and this was an idea that came to me, that we should give it a theme. And the theme was Ranga Mati. Ranga is a Bengali word which means red, Mati or Mitti, red earth. So the second line explains it all, the tagline, and we call it the Red Earth Dialogue. So even today, I see certain people talking about Shantiniketan. There are poems about Shantiniketan. We had this during a physical meet. We had it yesterday also, and we had it in an earlier meet. So, the idea of the Red Earth Dialogue to talk about Shantiniketan and what we can do about Shantiniketan is also there. It's not just songs and dances and, poetry and discussions only. We want to be responsible in a more responsive way. Also, to reiterate, on 17th of last year, 17th September, UNESCO gave Shantiniketan the World Heritage inscription. It was very prestigious for this. Vishwa Bharati Shantiniketan had been lobbying for some time. There were others also in Shantiniketan in Calcutta who wanted this. So it was, after great effort, that this happened, and it's a celebration in itself. And just a few days, in about 2 days, it'll be the first anniversary that we got it. So that also we want to put on record. Now, may I ask Shalini to come and uh, begin this program with a Ganesh Vandana, and this devotional song is something which Tagore also, we associate Tagore with all aspects of life, including devotion, which are called pujo and prem. Pujo is the way that divine songs are there. So, Shalini, over to you. And thereafter, I'll ask Urna to take the program forward. Shalini.
Thank you so much, Arindam. And once again, a very good evening. And it's really an honor for me to be here. So, deepest gratitude. And it's a small stotra that I think I will sing. Jaya Ganesh गणनाथ दयानिधे सकल विघ्न कर दूर हमारे मम वंदन स्वीकार करो प्रभु चरण शरण हम आए तिहारे।
Thank you, Shalini. That's wonderful. And Urna, are you still singing?
Just one verse, I thought.
Okay, okay. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Please.
That's okay. It's fine if it's fine with you.
That it has come to an end. Please continue.
मुदाकरात् मोदकं सदा विमुक्तिसाधकं कलाधरावतं सकं विलोकिलात् रक्षकम् अनायकैकनायकं विनाशिते भदैत्यकं नताशुभाशुनाशकं नमामि तं विनायकम् नमामि तं विनायकम् जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश पाहि मां जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश रक्ष माम् जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश पाहि मां जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश रक्ष मां जय गणेश रक्ष मां जय गणेश रक्ष मां। Thank you so much.
Thanks, Shalini, for the lovely rendition. You have such a melodious voice. Over to you, Urna, and you can take the program forward from here.
Yeah, hello. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are. You are.
Thank you so much, Shalini ma'am, for invoking the spirit of Ganpati, Vignahata. And here in Maharashtra, Ganpati is celebrated in a big way, like Durga Puja in Calcutta. 17th is Visarjan, and we say, Ganpati Bappa Moria, Purcha Varshi Lokariya, which is next year, please come faster in Marathi. And with that, a very warm and heartfelt welcome to a Sunday special, a compelling, thought-provoking, riveting online session of the Shantiniketan Literature Festival 2024. Perhaps to truly understand the idea of Shantiniketan and the kernel of its innermost truth, one feels compelled to initiate a connection of dots between Tagore's religious, spiritual, literary sensibilities and their consequential manifestation in giving the idea of Shantiniketan its flesh and bones, essence and substance. Arindam sir mentioned about devotion, puja, and Tagore wrote in The Religion of Man, it is evident that my religion is a poet's religion, and neither that of an orthodox man of piety, nor that of a theologian. Its touch comes to me through the unseen and trackless channel, as does the inspiration of my songs. And today, this evening, we are gathered here to celebrate this one absolute, infallible truth of any poet's life, that poetry is our religion above and beyond all other transient, manipulative, politicized ideas of religion. And with that, we will be starting today's session. All of you are aware that we'll have 4 rounds. The first round is paper presentations and talks. Second round is poetry readings. The 3 rounds. And the last round will be songs. Again, we'll celebrate, songs. We don't have any book launches today, so we just have 3 rounds. And I'd like to start with our chief guest, Geeti Tyagi. Dr. Geeti Tyagi is an editor, international author, and poet, creative artist, book reviewer, and translator. She has a doctorate from an American university. She is a former senior lecturer from University, Ambala. She has won several awards for her contributions in the literary world, including the International Kavyutsav Award twice. She is the author of Priceless Pearls, Crossroads, and Other Stories, and The Ascent of a New Dawn. She's the editor of Beyond Corona, The Silver Lining, the commemorative volume, and several anthologies. She's the translator of Amma's Gospel and Whistling Dixie. She has written the foreword for several books, including our Upanishads. And her poems, stories, articles, and book reviews have been published in reputed national and international magazines, journals, newspapers, ebooks, and anthologies. And with that, a very warm welcome. Please, Geeti ma'am, unmute yourself and talk to us about the educational philosophy of Tagore.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And thank you very much, Arindamji, for inviting me and giving me this opportunity. I hope I'm audible. Please confirm that.
Yes, you are.
Audible.
You are.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, we've all known Tagore as a poet, as a writer, story writer, drama writer, and of course, as an educationist. Now, today, what I am trying to establish is the link between his educational philosophy and his poetic vision. We all know Tagore as the nature poet. Naturalism takes a very important place in all his writings. And so it does so also in his educational philosophy. According to Tagore, and I quote him, the children are the future of the world. And it is our utmost duty to educate them so that they become the most capable citizens, not only of a particular country, but of the world as a whole. So today I shall try to discuss his educational philosophy, his aims of education, and the methods of teaching that he propagated to implement his educational philosophy. The various philosophies and theories that he encapsulates in his own educational philosophy are naturalism, idealism, realism, pragmatism, internationalism, spiritualism. I mean, there are so many isms. And he has done it so beautifully. Now, there's a contradiction between idealism, realism, and pragmatism. One may say, oh, how can Tagore be an idealist and a realist at the same time? But he is. His own philosophy of life is based on the Upanishads, the vision of Upanishads. And his educational philosophy is also based on the vision of Upanishads. But he does not go into those idealistic forms of defining an ideal student, an ideal teacher, an ideal school. He doesn't believe in all that. He says that naturalism is actually the best thing that you can put forward when you are trying to teach or educate a child. Because nature actually is the best teacher. You can teach a child in the best form when he is in the lap of nature. And when we talk of nature, Tagore does not mean just the physical environment. He also means the inner nature of the child, the inner qualities of the child, the capabilities, the way he tries to behave in a certain situation. So here he says, education should be such so as to cater to the needs of the inner nature of the child, as well as it should be given in an environment surrounded by nature. So that is where naturalism comes into play. As about idealism, I told his whole philosophy, his own life philosophy, his educational philosophy is based on Upanishads. But again, he says that if you are an idealist, you don't have to pressurize a child to become an ideal child. There are no such rules and regulations, according to him, to be an ideal child or an ideal teacher. According to him, the teacher should be such who is capable enough to bring out all the best qualities of the child. And he also says a teacher can never truly teach unless he is still learning himself. As we have all heard of this phrase as well, a lamp can never light another lamp unless it continues to burn its own flame. So that is exactly what Tagore says when he talks about idealism. No ideal teacher. The teacher has to cater to the needs of the student, the child. The child is going to be the future of this nation, of the future of the world. Then comes realism. And what's realism? Realism is the realistic approach of life. You teach everything to the child, but in a real environment. Make a real use of that knowledge. Do not force textbooks. Do not force volumes and volumes of textbooks on the child. That theoretical knowledge, according to him, is of no value unless he has observed, analyzed, contemplated, and understood everything by himself. The knowledge has to come firsthand, according to Tagore. And that's the realistic approach of Tagore. Next comes pragmatism, learning by doing, as we'll see in the heuristic method that he has propagated. Learning by doing, again, is the same thing. Do not give him volumes and volumes of textbooks to read. Take him to the environment, give him real life situations, and he will learn much, much better. And whatever he will learn will stick to him throughout his life. Now, Tagore here says, I do not completely disregard the textbooks, but I want them merely to be used as reference, whereas the real knowledge should come firsthand by the child himself. Next comes spiritualism. Tagore is a spiritualistic person. We all know that. There's no denying the fact. Now, along with realism, pragmatism comes spiritualism. How does he try to emphasize spiritualism in this education system? It's mainly through his performing arts, music, dance, dramas. And he was an expert of these. He has propagated all these things, and we have seen that Shantiniketan, Vishwabhati, they are full of these dramas, beautiful dances, beautiful music. Now, somewhere I read, he says, every individual should attain spiritual perfection. And this spiritual perfection should be of human mind, body, and soul. And again, he propagates and again, he emphasizes on these performing arts so much more than textbook learning, much more than anything else. Because once you learn by doing something, once you learn by engaging yourself in it, you are going to remember it. You are going to learn the lessons for life. They are real life lessons. We know about Vishwabhati. We know about the international approach of Tagore. And there comes internationalism.
আইসে কিন্তু কথা শোনা যান না তো
Tagore international relationships are very, very essential to learn so that the child becomes a perfect human being.
Excuse me, Colonel, can you mute yourself? Colonel, please mute yourself.
Please
Colonel,
mute yourself. Colonel sir, please mute yourself. No, you're not muted. Can you please mute yourself? Yes, thank you so much. Sorry, Geeti ma'am. Please continue. Please continue.
Sorry. Happens with me all the time. Well, now these are the educational theories. These are the philosophical theories that Tagore has actually implemented in his education system. According to these theories, the aims of education that Tagore talks about, because his whole emphasis is on the child, perfection of the human child, the nature of the child, the behavior of the child, the capabilities, the whatever is inside the child has to come out, has to be given a chance to express. So his creative expression, that is one of the major aims of education that he talks about. So I'm going to talk about the aims of education very quickly because they're all based on the educational theory. So I'll not go into very much details on that. The first one is the holistic development of the child. Just as Sri Aurobindo says in his educational theory, Tagore also talks about the development of the 5 major aspects of a child. And these are the physical development, the intellectual development, the vital development, psychic development, and spiritual development. And as we have just seen, naturalism, realism, pragmatism, internationalism, all these theories find expression in these aims. The very first aim, that's the holistic development. Next is the social development. Again, the textbook method is not much propagated by Tagore, though he's not very much against the textbooks, but he is not very much into them as well. So for social development, he says that the curricular, co-curricular activities, the social activities, they are going to develop the child as a social being because the child cannot be taught in isolation from the society. So what he used to do was take the children to nearby villages, let them ask the villagers what their problems are, how they can solve the problems. So when they used to interact with the villagers or the people around, they used to learn a lot. They used to learn that social type of development used to occur. And that is very important. Something that I think we lack in the present system. We really need to think about it. Next is the cultural, ethical, and spiritual development that again depends on that spiritualism. He is very much into the developing the aesthetic sense, the creative expression of the child. So he emphasizes and he says, handwork and arts are the spontaneous overflow of a deeper nature and spiritual significance. So he has emphasized on cultural activities and involvement in music, art, dance, drama type of activities. Developing the feeling of internationalism is one of the major aspects of Tagore's educational philosophy and his aims of education. According to him, a child can fully develop only when he is given the freedom of child, freedom of his mind, freedom of his body, freedom of his spirit, freedom of expression, of speech, every type of freedom, but of course not that uncontrolled freedom. He says the children must be trained to be the makers of their own world and their own destiny. And for that, they must have all their faculties fully developed in the atmosphere of freedom. Now, when we talk about his methods of teaching, they are all very simple, they are all very, very compelling, and they are all very, very successful. When he talks of freedom-based education, he says, freedom does not mean mere independence of control and right to free will. It means the liberation of all aspects and powers of the personality, like the senses, the vital energies, the various mental capacities, including intelligence and imagination, as also the functions of the heart, like the feelings, emotions, sympathy, love. He has given many methods of teaching, but while explaining the importance of these methods to one of the teachers of his school, he says, do not be preoccupied with methods. Leave your instincts to guide your life. Children differ from one another. One must learn to know them, to navigate among them as one navigates among reefs. To explore the geography of their minds, a mysterious instinct, sympathetic to life, is the best of all guides. Now, he does not want to stick to one method of teaching to educate the child. He gives so many methods, but still he advises his teachers not to stick to any particular method, not to impose any method. Just understand what the child wants, what the child can do, and change your methods accordingly. That's what he advises his own teachers. Next is the medium of instruction. That's very, very important where it comes to creative expression in his poetry or his education system. He has always propagated mother tongue as the medium of instruction or the medium of creative expression. Now, I can give you a very interesting example. We have Balraj Sahni. We all know Balraj Sahni, the famous cinema actor. Before moving to the cinema world, he went to Shantiniketan and he used to teach there. He was also a writer. He used to write poetry and short stories. But he used to write in Hindi and English, whereas he was from Punjab and his mother tongue was Punjabi. So, out of curiosity, just to get an opinion of Tagore, he showed his work to Tagore. And he was surprised when Tagore told him that even though what you've written is very good, but why have you written in the language that is not even your own? Your own language is Punjabi. So why don't you write in your own language? And I would like to quote from Bhisham Sahani's book. That's a biography of Balraj Sahani titled Balraj, My Brother. I quote here. In later years, speaking about his stay at Shantiniketan, Balraj often dwelt on the conversation he had once had with Tagore on the question of the language which a writer should adopt as his mode of creative expression. Tagore's views were very clear and emphatic on that subject. When Balraj told him that he wrote in Hindi, although his mother tongue was Punjabi, Tagore told Balraj that although he was talking about himself, Tagore talks about himself here, that although he often translated his own poems in English, he never composed them originally in English. He also referred to Guru Nanak's poetry and was citing one of the couplets. He said how difficult it was for him to render it into any other language. This observation had struck in Balraj's mind, and years later, when Balraj turned enthusiastically towards the Punjabi language, he remembered Gurudev's advice with immense sense of gratitude. So mother tongue is actually the medium of instruction that he has always emphasized upon. And in fact, I myself feel so grateful to Tagore for translating his poems in English. I'm a non-Bengali person. Cannot read Bengali. So if he had not translated his work, but what I feel is what he said is absolutely true. If he had written originally in English, it might not have been as good as it was in Bengali, though translation is equally wonderful. So this is really, really very good thing. Next method that he propagates is activity-based method, but obvious he does not promote that rote learning, mugging up of textbooks, learning volumes and volumes. That is not his style. His style is practical and very close to reality. He says that if we teach practical knowledge, if we give real life situations to the children, that is where we build their skills. That is where we build their productive thinking. And he also emphasized on student-based learning method. Every method, whatever method is applied, should be student-based. It should not be based on the system. It should not be based on the availability according to the teachers or according to the society. If it helps the student in learning something, it's a successful method. If it doesn't help a student in developing it, according to Tagore, it's not a very successful method. Next is storytelling and narrative. We have seen in his plays and his stories, we learn a lot through his plays and stories and even in poetries. So his method of storytelling and narration, that is very, very impressive method. He says that it will help the students to generate metacognition related to the imaginative power. Then he also believes in teaching while traveling. Traveling does not mean you have to go from one place to another. Traveling means walking, swimming, doing your daily tasks, and giving a little bit of information, little bit of knowledge through those activities. That is what he really wants to do. He says bookish education is not effective for all-round development of the learner. He was against conventional classroom teaching. We all know that he used to prefer teaching students in nature, under a tree, or going for a walk. That is what his method was. Next is debate and discussion. For a child to learn in an effective way, his active participation is very, very important. And that can happen only when we have a discussion with the child, we allow the child to express himself, we give him a chance to debate to even to tell us where we are wrong. As a teacher, not always a teacher is right. So we have to give little bit of freedom to the child to debate and discuss on whatever is being. This again is the Upanishadic way of teaching. We know that Vedas were not written just by one man. They were discussed and discussed over the years and then written. So that is exactly what idealism, according to Tagore, is. And last but not the least is the heuristic method based on pragmatism. You learn by doing. You don't learn by listening. You don't learn by lecturing. You learn by doing. That learning by doing is the method that is the most important in Tagore's methods of teaching. Now, this is all that I have to say, but then again, what I love about Tagore is his concept of internationalism, his universalization, the love for international brotherhood and peace. And as his vision in his poem, one of his poems, where knowledge is free, the world that he has imagined is where knowledge is free and where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls. This is exactly what we see in his educational philosophy, because this vision gives us the relationship between man, between man and his environment, the nature, and above all, between man and the divine on broader terms. Tagore has utilized all these educational theories, all these philosophies in his educational system, and he has so successfully implemented his educational theories, his educational philosophy, and the methods of teaching that he propagated. I wish all those methods are propagated by the schools in this modern system as well, although there are many of those, like we see excursions and tours. I have 3 kids. When my kids go on excursions and tours from school, they learn much more than what they might have learned in their history books or through my lectures or their teachers' lectures. So these are the methods we are actually adapting, but we need to adapt more. And I really feel that we are indebted to Tagore for giving us all these beautiful systems of education.
Thank you, Geeti. Such a lovely talk. And
I was just winding up.
yeah. You have
And I am
exceeded your time. Yeah,
really thankful to
just
you,
wind up
sir,
quickly.
and Shantiniketan Literature Festival for, I mean, this is a huge platform to speak something. I may be a little nervous as well because I'm sitting among such big and great poets. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Geeti. Sorry to interrupt because we
No,
were
no,
we were
fine.
exceeding the time. Um, you have put everything very beautifully. Tagore did walk the talk, and his multifaceted personality, which finds reflection in his education as well. Over to you, Urna.
Thank you, Geeti ma'am. That was a beautifully explained and a beautifully expressed talk. And yes, truly, Tagore did focus on freedom-based education. And thank you for mentioning metacognition, which is so important for the power of imagination. And with that, we will move to the next guest of honor, uh, Daya Disanayake. Daya Disanayake is an award-winning bilingual Sri Lankan author. He is the only Sri Lankan to have won the State Literary Award for the Best English Novel thrice, winning it in 1998, 2007, and 2013. He is not only a novelist, but also a poet and a philosopher. His paper is Rabindra Sahitya into Vishwa Sahitya. Daya sir, we are waiting for you and we would love to listen to your paper. Welcome.
Please unmute yourself.
Okay. Thank you,
Daya, please.
madam.
Yeah, that's better.
And thank you, Dr. Arindam, for inviting me. I'll make a very brief reading. And as my title is Rabindra Sahitya into Vishwa Sahitya, I have got used to calling him Rabindranath instead of Tagore because I have been always saying we should de-anglicize this term. And we are now able to realize the true Vishwa Sahitya as envisioned by Gurudev Rabindranath over a century ago. In his speech delivered at the Jatiya Shiksha Parishad, where he said, to free oneself of that of the regional narrowness and resolve to see the universal being in world literature, to apprehend such totality in every writer's work, and to see its interconnectedness with every man's attempt as self-expression, that's the objective we need to pledge ourselves to. And today we have the means to achieve it through what we call cyber literature or literature in cyberspace. Unfortunately, we don't have any equivalent term in any of our South Asian languages for the term cyberspace or cyber literature. To Rabindranath, Vishwa Sahitya was not world literature. It transcends geographical, racial, language, and political boundaries. And the sense of togetherness and transcending boundaries is visible in Gurudev's own words. The word Sahitya is derived from the word Sahita. Thus, etymologically, there is a sense of unity inherent in the word Sahitya, which we do not have in the word literature. It's not merely the unity of thoughts, of language or books. Nothing but Sahitya can create an intimate link between people, between past and present, between far and near. As a first step, we need to build a digital archive of all Gurudev's works, his poetry, his essays, stories, paintings, written in Bangla, and also his own translations into English. I wish we could have this archive under Creative Commons with open access to anyone from anywhere, because Gurudev Mahakavi Rabindranath is a great son of Mother Earth and he belongs to all of us. And de-anglicizing Tagore could begin by calling him Gurudev Rabindranath. If we have accepted Rabindra Sangeet instead of Tagore Sangeet, we are not creating a new precedent in calling him Gurudev Rabindranath and his writings as Rabindra Sahitya. And he too probably would have been happy to accept by this name. Even if de-anglicizing the name may not be so important, we have to seriously think of de-anglicizing Tagore literature as Rabindra Sahitya to fulfill Gurudev's dream of a Vishwa Sahitya. To Rabindranath, Vishwa Sahitya was not just world literature. And our next step need to be to translate all his writings direct from his original Bangla to all the mother languages around the world until someday AI or digital technology enables really accurate machine translations without murdering the original writings, which is the worst kind of insult we could do to Gurudev. The people around the world have a right to read Rabindra Sahitya in their own language, without any deletions, distortions, misinterpretations. We in Sri Lanka need to read Rabindra Sahitya in Sinhala or Tamil. To achieve this, the writings have to be translated by committed writers who have mastered their own mother tongue and Bangla, or Vanga as we call it, but without anglicizing or Indianizing them. A sad example is that in Sri Lanka, we have 8 translations of Gitanjali, but all from the English translation. That means all of us who can't read Bangla never got an opportunity to read the original Gitanjali. I had the good fortune to read the English translation of As the Painter's Ballad by Dr. Debjani Sengupta. The original Bangla novel by Selina Hussain was titled Purno Chobir Magnota, and we managed to have a translation done in Sinhala, and it was titled Nadi Gita. And I feel this translation would be closer to the original Bangla work than the English translation. That's what we need to do with all his works, starting with Gitanjali, a real translation from original to Sinhala. And in Selina Hossain's novel, it's the Padma River and the river basin which turned the Samindari into the Gurudev, and it is the story Hossain is telling us here. She puts these words into the mouth of the village postman, Gagan. Padma flows inside my body. I feel the river coursing through my veins. And it's the same river which flowed through Rabindra's veins. And that is what we would have made him feel, one with the people here. Rabindranath is needed now in the 21st century, perhaps more than when he wrote Gitanjali or when he won the Nobel Prize. Sitakant Mahapatra and Prafulla K. Mohanty sums it up in their introduction to Tagore and Nasrul Islam, Vision and Poetry, where they write, Tagore's poetry brought a humanist universalism with abundance and amplitude of the traditional soul of India. The 21st century reader living in the postmodern world encounters only demystification and decentering to lose hope in life. For such readers, Tagore offers hope for life and confidence in living. The entire Rabindra Sahitya could be considered a literary collection which could be read through Vedic, Jain, Buddhist, Sufi, and even Christian Dhamma. Gurudev Rabindranath has been there for all of us in the world in the 20th century and will be there for many centuries to come because Rabindra Sahitya is a major part of Vishwa Sahitya. His Chintana was nourished by all the Dhamma in the culture he grew up, and he brought them out in his concept of Vishwa Sahitya. The God found in Gurudev's poetry and misunderstood by the Christian West was really his Jivan Devata, who fills the entire cosmos and permeates our tiny existence, as explained in Religion of Man, and his poem Tomari Nam Balbo Nana Chale tell us that we can call Jivan Devata by any name, just like a baby calls his mother by any sound, just for the mere joy of calling her. So that is what I would like to see someday, a real digital archive of all Rabindranath's works. Thank you.
Thank you, Daya. A wonderful exposition. By the way, in Bangla, we use the word Ravindrik Sahitya or Ravindra Sahitya. It's only when we come to English, since the Englishman could not pronounce Rabindranath Thakur as Thakur, so it became Tagore there. And just to add to what we were saying, while I was in Shantiniketan and our Shantiniketan Literature Fest was on the very first day, which was the third day after the death anniversary of Tagore, I was asked to deliver a lecture, a very prestigious lecture at Vishwabharati, and the subject was Bharatiya Sahitya Ravindra Prabhav. See, the Prabhav of Ravindra on Indian languages, Indian literature. So in Bangla, we use that. And yes, we do need to go digital. When we were in Shantiniketan, the librarian, the central library, he was there with us, and he did tell us that this process has started and the huge amount of books that they have and all the libraries within Vishwabharati have been digitalized and the work is on. Thank you. Over to you, Urna.
Thank you, Daya sir. That was a very evocative talk on the need to build a digital archive. And thank you for mentioning Vishwa Sahitya. In fact, Arindam sir just spoke about Shantiniketan, and the motto, the founding motto of Shantiniketan itself is Yatra Vishwam Bhavati Kanidam. The whole world makes a home in a single nest. So thank you so much for bringing that into today's session. And with that, we'll move to our next guest of honor, Dr. Sonika Sethi. Dr. Sonika Sethi is an associate professor of English at SD College, Ambala. Her articles were published in newspapers like the Hindustan Times, the Tribune, etc. She is the author of 2 blogs, Fireflies in the Jar, published on the web portal of the Times of India and the Economic Times, and Spellbound by Sonika, published on rivers.com. She is also the executive editor of the monthly literary magazine Rivers Beat and has 9 books to her credit. And with that, a very warm welcome to Sonika. Please talk to us about recognition of resilience and inner beauty of women through Tagore's works and vision. We're looking forward to your talk, Sonika. Please unmute yourself.
Yeah, I have already done that. And thank you, Arna, for welcoming me. Thank you, Arindam sir, for having me on Shanti Niketan Literature Festival platform. I think I'll skip all the formalities and straight away move to my paper. And I had written an insightful paper, but I have already trimmed it, keeping in mind the paucity of time. So I'll quickly read my title and then I'll read whatever I thought was relevant enough. My paper is titled Recognition of Resilience and Inner Beauty of Women Through Tagore's Works and Vision. So it's not exactly a feminist approach, but a pragmatic approach towards Tagore's vision of humanity and looking up as women as the gender equality that he talked about or that he portrayed through his women characters. So I'll read my paper. Rabindranath Tagore's relevance in today's world remains profound and enduring. His contributions as a poet, philosopher, and visionary transcend time and continue to resonate across cultures. Tagore's deep understanding of human nature, spirituality, and the essence of freedom speaks to contemporary society's struggles with identity, inequality, and environmental degradation. In an era marked by increasing materialism and societal fragmentation, Tagore's emphasis on the harmony between humanity and nature offers valuable insights. His writings remind us of the importance of simplicity, self-reflection, and a deeper connection with our surroundings. Moreover, Tagore's advocacy for education that fosters creativity and critical thinking rather than rote learning that Geeti ma'am has already talked about in detail remains crucial in shaping well-rounded individuals. Tagore's concept of universalism expressed through his idea of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, that is, the entire world is my family, is particularly relevant in today's globalized yet divided world. His call for unity in diversity and respect for different cultures can guide us toward more inclusive and compassionate societies. In a sense, Rabindranath Tagore's timeless wisdom continues to inspire and challenge us to seek a deeper, more meaningful existence while addressing the moral and existential crises of our times. Tagore's portrayal of women in his works reflects a deep empathy for their struggles and aspirations, making his views highly relevant today. In an era where gender equality is still a work in progress, Tagore's progressive vision of women's empowerment offers valuable insights. In Chokher Bali, Tagore presents the character of Binodini, a widow who challenges societal norms and asserts her individuality, something most of the writers, they have shirked to do. Through her, Tagore critiques the oppressive social structures that restrict women's lives, highlighting the need for personal freedom and self-expression. This resonates with contemporary feminist movements advocating for women's rights and autonomy. Then Tagore further explores the complex dynamics of gender roles through Bimla, the protagonist of Gharabar, struggles between traditional expectations and her desire for independence. Tagore uses her character to emphasize the importance of women's agency in shaping their own identities and destinies. This aligns with current discussions on breaking free from patriarchal constraints and encouraging women to pursue their ambitions. Many years ago, when I first read Tagore's short story, The Postmaster, I thought he intended the postmaster to be the protagonist of the story. However, over the years, it became clearer that the story was all about the young girl and her self-actualization. Initially, the postmaster might appear to be the central figure, with his loneliness and experiences forming the core of the narrative. However, as one delves deeper, Ratan, the young girl, emerges as the true heart of the story. Tagore subtly shifts focus to Ratan's emotional growth and the depth of her silent devotion. Her character evolves from a simple, unassuming village girl to someone who experiences deep attachment, betrayal, and ultimately self-realization. The postmaster's departure marks a pivotal moment, not just as an abandonment, but as the beginning of Ratan's journey toward emotional resilience. She doesn't hold on to illusions of his return, instead, coming to terms with her situation with quiet dignity. This shift in understanding mirrors the complexity of human emotions that Tagore masterfully captures in his works. Ratan's inner world, her hopes, and her heartbreak transcend the immediate narrative, making her journey of self-realization the true crux of the story. So, Tagore's works offer timeless reflections on human resilience, particularly highlighting the inner strength and beauty of women characters. Through his advocacy for individual freedom, self-realization, and gender equality, Tagore's vision continues to inspire and guide us even today. His enduring legacy lies in his deep empathy for human struggles, which transcends time and remains an integral part of today's societal conversations. And that is all that I have to say.
Thank you, Sonika. A beautiful exposition. Over to you, Orna.
Thank you, Sonika. That was a very, very powerful exposition on, Tagore's depiction of women. And it's so true. Gender equality is still a work in progress. And Tagore is a writer who, at that point in time goes out and almost depicts that there is strength and softness. There is also Stri Potro, a wife's letter written in 1914. And
I had written about it in my paper,
yes.
but even while I was reading, I was skipping some parts.
Right. I thought as much that you must have, because that's a very powerful piece of work from Tagore, where it's from the point of view of a woman. And what is really important is that all of these works were written at a time when women were not allowed to vote, formal education was demoralized, and women were almost confined to the Andar Mahals. The Parda system mandated the physical concealment of their bodies. So, there is the Ghomta, which is the Parda. And yet Tagore writes all of this even while dowry deaths swelled in Bengal. So thank you so much for that powerful talk, a much needed talk. Thank you so much for that. And with that, we'll move to Shalini Nandkyolar, who's our next guest of honor. Shalini ma'am, I think we already know her, right, because she sang for us, but here's the introduction. Shalini Nandkyolar is multi-talented. She has a diploma in acting from the New York Academy of Theatrical Arts and has acted in several plays. She studied English literature and philosophy and has a degree in business management. She's a gifted singer and has a music album of bhajans called Arpanam. Painting is another passion. She enjoys writing poetry both in English and Hindi. Her poems have been widely published in literary journals, various magazines, and several anthologies in both languages. Her poems are exquisite, full of beautiful imagery, deeply philosophical, profound, and evocative. Shalini ma'am, once again, a very warm welcome. We are looking forward to your talk about your personal visit to Shantiniketan.
Thank you so much.
Before Shalini speaks, just a minute. There are two comments about your song. One from Mushumi Bhattacharya, who says, "Sweet voice, ma'am," immediately after you had sung. And Patricia de Cruz, another person from Kolkata, she says, "Such a beautiful voice." I agree with both of you. Shalini, over
Thank
to
you
you.
so much. I think I was just so nervous and whatever, but any case, whatever, it just came out in the spur of the moment. And thank you so much, Arindam, and thank you enough for this wonderful introduction. So I think they've been, I feel like I don't even know whether I'm qualified to speak about the Bard. But for me, 20 years in Kolkata, and my visit was just about a year ago to Shanti Niketan. So I felt that it is my, my feelings, my experiences, which I felt. So it's just, I will just read out some excerpts from the thing. Thank you so much. The train sauntered into Bholpur station, the early hours of the morning. Reverently, I alighted. With the quickening heartbeat, Shantiniketan was a long-awaited pilgrimage. The yearning to kneel in worship and gather the dust where years ago the feet of this revered bard had tread. To breathe in the sweetness of the fragrant air that whispered the name of Gurudev Rabindranath, and to listen spellbound to the exquisite rhapsodies that he created. A few hurried hours at the artistically decorated Creek Boutique Resort where we were staying, and our car arrived to take us to the Rabindra Bhavan Museum. Every moment of our drive to the iconic museum took on a mesmerizing hue, where even the ordinary seemed to transform into an experience extraordinaire. We reached Uttarayan complex, which was once Thakur's, as Arindam corrected, residence, a harmonious blend of Bengali and modern architecture, an ambience of such quietude and serenity, reflection of the poet's eclectic artistic taste and his love for nature. The, the building, with its interesting arches, columns, and warm earthy tones, seemed to merge into the captivating landscape. I was enveloped in an overwhelming surge of sacredness, as though I had entered the sanctum sanctorum of a temple courtyard. The trees, every leaf, every blade of grass seemed to sway in the divine brilliance of the bard's moving creations and phenomenal compositions. Hearts seemed to break all embankments, and rivulets of tears streamed down as the divine verses from Gitanjali echoed in my soul. In your everlasting cares, my heart loses sight of limits. And in immense bursts of joy, song lyrics rise in me. You gave me what I can take with my hands night and day. Years pass, but there is no end to what I receive from you. An enchanting deluge of wonderment, devotion, gratitude, and surrender. Walking into the haloed portals of Rabindranath's fascinating world, which was nothing short of a heightened sense of awareness, simply awe-inspiring. Sorry. Would we be ever able to perceive the entirety of what he was, who he was, fathom the depths of his creative genius, which was his essence? Walking through the marvelous exhibits and extensive collection of the beloved bard's personal belongings, his spectacles, his walking stick, his shoes, everything was sacrosanct. And the most cherished of all, his writing desk, chair, and bed, where he wrote his wonderful epics. All his original manuscripts and letters from Mahatma Gandhi, Einstein, his rare photographs of his illustrious family, his paintings and sketches left one breathless, absolutely stunned. Each and every artifact on display seemed to take you gently into a bygone era of a rich cultural heritage of Bengal, a glimpse into the life and times of the literary genius. This revered son of India, truly a man of Renaissance. His awards, including the Nobel Prize medal, left our hearts swelling with a renewed pride. To the thirsty Tagore lover, the vast ocean of creativity was right there. How much could one take in with the shallow depth of a mere cupped hands? I paused for a while, unable to contain myself, a lamp lost in the rivers of light. The verses from Thakur's celebrated Gitanjali resounded in the deepest core of my heart. One could only prostrate in abject adoration and worship. What better praise for this beloved poet laureate than the ethereal weave of his own unparalleled precious offering to the Creator? O wise one, how do you sing so well? I listen in amazement, completely enthralled. Your melodies light up the world and waft across heavens, melting stones, driving everything in the way, carrying along with them heavenly music. Though the tunes keep eluding my voice, I feel like singing in the superb vein. What I would like to say gets stuck, and my soul cries out, defeated. What trap have you ensnared me into? The music has me fully in its enthrall. I think I'm getting just so emotional just reading out these beautiful verses. So we crossed the sprawling, lush green lawns to Amar Kutir, the Bard's residence, nestled in the lap of nature. The doors were shut, much to our disappointment, but fortunately, the windows were wide open to give us a glimpse into the living room, bathed in an ambience of peace and tranquility. The simple yet elegant decor, imbued with a beauty all its own, with a beauty indescribable, an expression in essence of the poet laureate's lifestyle. The garden, too, designed by the poet himself, was a haven where he drew inspirations from nature and created some of the most Shiksha. Shiksha? Oh, it's gone again. Please. I'm so sorry for all this, being totally challenged with all this. So sorry about it. So the garden designed by the poet himself was a haven where he drew inspiration from nature and created some of his most celebrated works. The lush green lawns, flowering shrubs, the majestic banyan tree rooted still, a silent witness to his soulful, profound musings. They say that the banyan tree was Tagore's favorite sanctuary. He would sit under this century-old tree in quiet communication with nature, where he would draw all his inspiration. One could almost visualize him sitting with his flowing beard, sage-like, beneath the eternal Vatavriksha in meditation, reminiscent of the Vedic times where the Guru was seated in the canopy of a banyan tree and his disciples in the ashraya of his lotus feet. The skies were fading crimson, the last glow before the twilight hour, birds returning home, stirring notes of the Baul singer, and his mystical beat of the Ektara, somewhere in a distance. Pare loi chao amar. I am a shoreless boat, a hapless one. Take me across, O merciful one. So we left the sacred abode of peace with a haunting melody resonating in my heart. Gurudev Rabindranath's voice, like a silent river, gently flowing into me, like a sparkle of rain on a hot summer's day, soaking the parched earth with a lingering fragrance long after the clouds are gone, like the cadence of bells in a distant monastery. The breeze eternally carries his whispers. The leaves dance, the birds pick up the songs and sing. Strains of his profound lyrics echo in the silence of my soul. Reverently, I gather the pearls to adorn the altars of my heart. Thank you so much.
Beautiful, Shalini. It was such a lyrical presentation. It seemed as if we are, hearing a prose poem. Over to you, Shalini. Over to you, Urna.
Shalini ma'am, I think I got a lump in my throat, and I too became moist. My eyes grew moist when you were speaking about rivulets of tears, devotion, gratitude, surrender, and the Renaissance. And it's true, when the Macmillan Company, New York, published Gitanjali, the introduction was written by W.B. Yeats, and Yeats wrote that Tagore's poetry, about Tagore's poetry, Tagore's poetry is the new Renaissance that has been born in our country. And Yeats, of course, wrote Your Country. So that was beautiful. I think we all, you brought alive the spirit of Shantiniketan for all of us, no matter where we are. Beautiful. That was really beautiful. Thank you so much for
And
that.
just adding to what you're saying, Urna, this is exactly what we meant by the Red Earth dialogue. The
Yes.
Ranavati, the Red Earth dialogue. Thank you, Shalini.
Thank you
Yes.
so much. And sorry about all the interruptions.
No worries
That's
at all.
okay to hear.
No worries. Yes. And with that, we will move to our next poet, Moushumi Bhattacharjee. Moushumi Bhattacharjee is a teacher and a writer whose work span across various genres, but her poetry stands out for its lyrical exploration of human emotions and the delicate interplay between nature and life. Her poetry collection, Scattered Showers, reflects her ability to weave words into evocative imagery, capturing the transient beauty of the moments. Moushumi ji, over to you. We're looking forward to hearing your topic. Is a very interesting one. The poet who influenced lives. No wonder we are still celebrating him. Over to you, Moushumi ji.
Please unmute yourself, Moushumi. Moushumi, can you hear us? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I can. Thank you. Good evening, respected panelists and chairperson of Shantiniketan Literature Festival. It's an honor for me to speak before the August Company of Literary Minds. I was born and brought up in Arunachal Pradesh, as my father traveled to the Northeast for a job in the early 50s after the Great Partition, and got settled there, far away from the literary and cultural atmosphere of Bengal. But in spite of that, he, as well as my mother, sincerely nurtured their passion till their last breath. Today, my paper that I'm going to present before you all is titled The Poet Who Influenced Lives. My unconditional adoration for Rabindranath Tagore began at the age of 3, when my mother trained and introduced me to the stage for a dance performance on one of Tagore's songs, আজ ধানের খেতে রৌদ্র ছায়ায় লুকোচুরির খেলা রে ভাই লুকোচুরির খেলা. Here is the translation of the song. Oh my friend, today the sunlight and the shade are playing hide and seek in the paddy field. The sunlight and the shade are playing hide and seek today. Dance was in my blood, and perhaps the rhythm of the song made me gaily caper to its beats, shedding inhibition at that tender age. As it is obvious, I might not have understood what was subtly expressed about the hide and seek game in the paddy field between the light and the shade, but my poses and postures were intrinsic and captivating, and the audience cheered me throughout my performance, which I later got to know from my parents. I believe it is a testament to the power of Tagore's art, which transcends age and understanding. As the years progressed, I learned more about the bird, his works, and his teachings from my parents settled in the remote hills of Arunachal Pradesh through their stage shows or informal conversations. Tagore's poetry, songs, and stories are a treasure trove of wisdom, and I had the opportunity to absorb them from a very young age only because of my parents' undying love and respect for the laureate. In the evenings, I remember my father would hold a voluminous edition of Sanchayita in his hand and would lean toward the light of a kerosene lantern. As there was no electricity in those days in the far hills, and recite in a deep voice, আজি হতে শতবর্ষ পরে কে তুমি পড়িছ বসি আমার কবিতাখানি কৌতূহল ভরে আজি হতে শতবর্ষ পরে. The translation is, 100 years from today, who are you sitting reading a poem of mine under curiosity's sway? 100 years from today. We siblings would gather around him and quietly listen to the echo of his mesmerizing voice, trying to grasp the profound meaning that was not easy to fathom. Tagore's works helped me appreciate the various aspects of nature and life as I grew up. Through his works, I'm able to explore the relationship between nature, humanity, and the universe to a certain level. He is an inspiration to me as I gather the courage to express my thoughts in a more poetic way. His poetry often delves into the complexities of our inner self, which encourages me to understand and navigate human emotions. After years of studying and experiencing, I have come to perceive that Tagore's styles can be a powerful catalyst for self expression. After I lost my father, I would stare at the night sky all alone for hours and hear his deep, husky voice reverberating around, chanting the verse, Aji hote শতবর্ষ পরে. Now, when a few silver strands have appeared on my head, I can comprehend what Tagore envisioned 100 years ago. He wanted to bequeath his legacy to the generations to come and kindle a sense of sincere admiration for every atom wandering in the vast expanse of the universe. Thank you so much.
A lovely exposition, Moshumi, and you have beautifully summarized what many of us, including me, who are staying away from Bengal, how we imbibed the Bengali tradition. And you see, our tradition is also part of our identity, our memory. Tradition is built through memory, and that should be saved for some other day, because I was involved in a similar study elsewhere. Uh, but yes, memory and identity go hand in hand. And we were very fortunate that our parents and our grandparents passed it on to us. A beautiful exposition. Thank you. Over to you, Purna.
Thank you, Maushamaji. That was such a heartfelt exposition. So sorry to hear about your father. But yes, I agree with you that Tagore's literature is such that there is something for every emotion, for loss, for longing, and the entire gamut between the two. And that was beautifully expressed. Thank you so much for it. And next we move to our next poet, Shudipta Mishra. Shudipta Mishra is a versatile artist known for her work as a poet, translator, reviewer, and editor. She has authored many books, including titles like The Essence of Life and The Songs of My Heart. Her recent book, Beyond the Pandemic, explores the impact of COVID-19. Sudipta Mishra has received prestigious awards such as the Rabindranath Tagore Memorial, Mahadevi Varma Sahitya Shiromani Award, Powerful Woman Award, and so on. She advocates social justice in her writings and is pursuing a PhD degree in English. And Sudipta will be sharing with us her paper, which she titles A Great Visionary. And over to you, Sudipta. We can't wait to hear your paper.
Good evening, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Respected Arindam sir, and my regards to all the esteemed members of Santiniketan Literature Festival. It's my pleasure to present my paper on Rabindranath Tagore. It was really my bad luck that I could not get much time to research the timeless saga of his creations due to the hospitalization of my mother. So, I will be recounting some known facts about the literary genius of our country, whose creation became a class in itself. Rather, I will rename my paper as a small tribute in honor of the literary giant and his grand legacy of this contemporary world. The immortal creations of Rabindranath Tagore made him highly popular not only among the literatures of India, but also it crossed the borders of many nations. He is widely acclaimed as Vishwakavi. From India, he became the first non-European to receive the prestigious Nobel Prize for Literature. Almost all of his works reflect the charm of patriotism. He has created an unparalleled masterwork, Gitanjali, for which he got the award. He was the pioneer in introducing Upanishadic models in the education of Santiniketan. As a multifaceted persona, he devoted his entire life for the well-being of literature and humanity. As a visionary, he dreamed and visualized a liberated India from the evil clutches of Britishers. He was greatly influenced by the idealism of Mahatma Gandhi. He was the first enlightened one who had first uttered the word Mahatma for Gandhiji. He had received Knighthood Award for his undeterred service for the literature by George B. in 1915. Unfortunately, he was heartbroken after the incident of Jallianwala Bagh massacre. He rejected the honorary award in protest for the cruelty against the innocent Indians. He went on a tedious tour along with his father about 6 months. This expedition rendered him a fulfilling experience of life, and he delved deep into the essence of poetry, art, classical poetry, and so on. He embarked on the exceptional journey of writing short stories. He also tried his hand in writing poems. Those created a sensation in the minds of Bengal readers. Nirjhara Supnabhanga, a collection of poems attributed him success as a poet. After returning from London, he ceaselessly mused. His earlier works laid a huge impact on the readers of India, unlike readers of Bengal. As a social reformer, he always tried to mirror the existing issues of society. Poverty of rural Bengal reflected through his works. During 1891 to 1895, he created most promising works of his literary career. Galpa Guchha, a collection of 84 stories, held the creative excellence of Tagore in the early 90s period. They bore the stark realities of poor lives. In 1901, he lived in Santiniketan. Though his life was filled with the pain of losses of his dear ones, his works like Naivedya, Kheo left an indelible mark in the minds of the readers of the early 90s. As a reformer, he had always against all the social evils like casteism, untouchability. In this period, he also contributed so many excellent novels, including Gora, to the realm of Bengali literature. Then he was highly influenced by anti-partition movement of Bengal. With the patriotic fervor and exceptional zeal, he inspired many freedom fighters. Then he left India for London. There he translated his lasting creation Gitanjali into English, which made him a world-class famous poet. In an incredibly vast, fulfilling career, he has created more than 200 stories and even 50 volumes of poetry. Even in his teens, he weaved nearly 7,000 lines of verse. More than 1,000 of his works include novels, short stories, poems, drama, paintings, art, and so on. As a music composer, he has almost composed more than 2,000 songs. He adopted mystic style to appeal the readers. As the Bard of Bengal, he made the entire world look at him with an exceptional awe and admiration for his work Gitanjali, Song of Offering. He has written our national anthem with an immortal patriotic spirit. This timeless saga made his presence lasting in every Indian's heart. Other works including Mansi, Sonar Tori, Balaka, and many more innumerable creations. His dramas or plays like Dakaghara, Chandalika unravel the existing issues of the then society. His novels, those made him highly successful in the literary sphere of Bengal, are Chakurbali, Ghore Bair. His short story Kabuliwala made a huge impact in the minds of Indian readers. This story was transformed into subject matter of highly successful creative works like movies and plays later. Tagore, with his exceptionally brilliant works, rendered India an unimaginable fame in the world wide. As an Indian writer, he tried his hands in all types of genres, exalting the culture and social values of India across the world. All his works reflect the actual essence of Indian culture with a deeper understanding of original values of our country rather than an imitation of Western works. He was also fascinated by bowler cult. I just remember. Thanks for listening to me.
Thank you, Shudipta. That's a wonderful uh, talk, and you summed it up beautifully. Over to you, Runa.
Thank you, Shudipta. It's a special thank you for mentioning Chandalika, which is a pioneering work of Tagore and, throws light on many important issues of the day. So thank you so much. And your talk was very beautiful and very detailed. So thank you so much for that. And with that, we will move into our round two, which is always, the poet's favorite round, where with poetry presentations, and we'll go with the same sequencing. We'll start with Geeti Tyagi. Geeti ma'am, over to you for your poem, Amol
Thank
the
you so
Nature
much.
Child. Yes,
Yeah.
over to you.
The poem is based on Tagore's drama, The Post Office, where the little child is seriously ill and he wants to go out in nature because he believes that nature only can heal him. So it's a long poem, but I'll just recite a few stanzas. Defined fate, freedom denied, confined within the four-walled cage, safeguarded from the autumn wind and sun, shining bright beyond my reach. The scriptures decide the societal pace. The learned men clench the reins. At the altar of the parochial world, the dreams, the desires of a mal crucified. No escorts, no playmates, orphaned by fate. The body fragile organs at loggerheads, hoping against the faintest hope, shielding from the out of doors. Wish I were a squirrel small. Lovely, wouldn't it be? Let me go about and out. The book learned doctor knows not a thing. This toiling, moiling at the books, having eyes for nothing else. I would rather be in the nature and see everything that there is. The disappearing pain, the twinkling stars, the king's postman down the hillside climbs, reaching to the open meadow among the chirping crickets. I feel him coming nearer and nearer. I'll ask the king for the polar star. I'll ask him to make me his postman. I shall then wander far and wide, delivering his message from door to door. Blow out the light, let the starlight stream in. Sit by my pillow, I'm dropping asleep. Blow out the oil lamp. Hush, I sleep. This is where the poem ends, though I have left out a lot of stanzas in it.
Thank you, Geeti. Thank you. Thanks a lot for the beautiful poem.
Thank you, Geeti ma'am. That was a beautiful poem. It's lovely that you have based it on the post office, which is Daghor, written in 1912. And critics, even the harshest critics of Tagore, agree that Daghor uses the idea, Daghor uses allegory in a brilliant way. and has been translated in many languages, including Spanish and French. So thank you so much for your poem. And next we'll move to Daya Disanayaka. Daya sir, over to you for your poem.
Thank you. And my poem is based on one of Rabindranath's own poems, because Rabindranath visited Sri Lanka 3 times. And during one of his visits, he visited the famous Kandy Tooth Relic Festival. That is an annual festival where there is a pageant, and they have many elephants. They use many elephants in the parade. So Rabindranath titled his poem as Kandiya Nachin Navajatak, and it was translated as the Kandian dance by Indira Devi Chaudhurani. And my poem is Behind the Kandian Dance. Behind the Kandian dance, fed at my mother's breast, running through the grassland with my friends, frolicking in the muddy waters, creeping into the cane plantation. And I could sleep in the shade of a vanaspati when I was tired. Today, with a bundle of coconut fronds hanging from my neck, breathing dust and poison gases, deafened by the din of the passing vehicles, I walk on hot asphalt from one temple to another. Drums and horns beating on my deafened ears, blinded by the glare of the lights, stepping on the cinders falling from the torches. I walk through the mass of humans who worship me because I carry the tooth relic basket. The devotees walking behind me pluck the hairs from my tail. Am I paying for the sins I committed when I tortured other elephants in the name of the Buddha in a previous life? Thank you.
A lovely
That's my
poem. Thank you there. And over to you, Urna.
Thank you, Daya sir. That was a very deep and poignant poem. Thank you so much for that. And next we'll move to Dr. Sonika Sethi. Sonika, over to you for you, please.
Thank you, Urna. My poem is actually based on Tagore's love for nature, and somehow it resonates with his poem, The New Rain, where he talks about nature, the rain falling, the maiden sitting with her pot. So somewhere it has an echo of that poem, and it has. I'm reading this poem from my collection of poetry, The Albatross Around My Neck. My poem is titled, Am I Jealous or? The gentle breeze weaves its fingers through dark tresses, teasing you, leaving you vulnerable to audacity of nature. The red dress billowing in the green, yellow mustard field. Am I jealous of the breeze, caressing your face so fair? Am I the only one in love with you, or love is in the air? Amethyst sky, glinting slivers of sunshine, cast a pattern, play around coyly like the shy bride. And the new suitor, the lonely blue jay, sitting atop the tree, calls to its mate. Am I jealous of the blue jay, calling out his mate with flair? For sure, I'm not the only one in love. Love is in the air. Purple mountains laden with soft, swirling peaks of snow stand majestic as a monarch, wearing bejeweled crown. The monastic monk peacefully mutters a solemn chant. Am I jealous of the monk's devotion or his holy prayer? For he is too in love with the divine, and love is in the air. Nascent blossoms adorn the prickly bushes in hues infinite. Fluttering, flapping wings scale and dot the inaccessible sky. Gurgling river rushes and gushes to reach its ultimate design. Am I jealous of the gurgling river or its role in the earth's share? For she too is in love with her character, and love is in the air. So that was my poem, Am I Jealous?
Thank you, Sonika. A beautiful poem, rich in imagery. Over to you, Urna.
Thank you, Sonika. Love is truly in the air when we're discussing Tagore and celebrating him and his works. Thank you for that beautiful poem. And
Thank you.
the blue jay just stole my heart.
Thank you.
Beautiful. And next we'll move to Shalini Nandkyolkar. Shalini ma'am, over to you for your poem.
Thank you so much, Urna. It's a very short poem, but somehow I think I just chose it because it just came at the spur of the moment again. Do I write? In rare moments of silence, when the spirit soars beyond conscious babbling of thoughts, in rare moments of silence, when spirits soar beyond consciousness babbling of thoughts, I hear the dewdrops, ever so gentle, tiptoe on the velvet grass. The breeze strums the harp. I hear your flute afar. The leaves gingerly rustle. The birds' songs awaken me yet again from an unconscious slumber. When I'm done wandering like a fragmented cloud, done thinking I own your soothing blue skies, I see you mirrored in the pristine lakes. I weep tears of melting joy into the ocean depths, aglow with pearls of tiny light. When lotus buds open, petal by petal, to reveal the innermost core, I walk into my inner temple, where a glimmer of light bursts into a million suns. And the soul speaks. It's never that I write. Words are not words, but whispers from the void. Thank you.
Ah, fabulous poem. Thank you. Over to you, Urna.
My God, Shalini ma'am, that lotus metaphor was so beautiful. Very, very beautiful. And, Gautam Buddha's teachings were compiled, and it's called the Lotus Sutra, the compilation.
Yes.
And that's the idea behind calling it the Lotus Sutra is because a lotus grows in mud and slush and still manages to bloom. And I think Tagore always implores us to do the same. So thank you so much for that beautiful poem. Next we move to Moushami Bhattacharya for her poem. Moushami ji, over to you.
Thank you, Urnaji. My poem is based on Aji Hote Shotobarsho Pore. 100 years after. 100 years after, imbued with your vernal sunshine, O illustrious soul, I recite the divine compositions you benevolently handed on to your devotees ardent, flourishing in the universe. My intoxicated spring blossoms in melodies of your fragrant verse. A spell of divinity permeates my athirst roving heart. My senses savour the nectar you sprinkled a century ago, gathered devoutly scattered pearls glistening in the meadows. At your behest, I opened my southern gate. O perspicacious literator, let your spiritual vibes drench me immensely in its lore. Thank you.
A beautiful poem. Thank you.
Thank
Over
you,
to you,
sir.
Urna.
That is beautiful, Moushami ji. Truly an invocation to the divinity in each one of us. Very beautiful. We next move to Shudipta Mishra. Over to you, Shudipta, for your poem.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. My poem is Your Anklet. I have written this poem 5 years ago. So the poem goes like this. Your anklet. Worry no more, my dear. Just clasp your hand inside mine. Let your hair strands spread everywhere with a smile. Just feel the rhythm of nature. Listen to the smiling waves of the seashore. Nurture these blessed moments of nature. Oh, I can hear the murmur of your anklets. It's flowing to calm my quick sense. Only ponder about the glory of our union. I want to close my eyes forever in this cosmic celebration. In the soft whispering of your tinkling anklets, let me lie quiet. Let me intoxicate my soul in the realm of abstract reason. It's over.
Thank you. A small and sweet poem. Over to you, Runa.
Thank you, Shudipta. Very, very intoxicating, short, sweet, and intoxicating, all three. And with that, since we don't have any book launches for today, we will move to our last and final round, where we have two songs, one by Shalini Nandkyolkar and the other one is by Dr. Sonika Sethi. Sir, Arindam sir, should we start with?
Yeah, we'll have Shalini's song first,
Okay, yes.
and we'll end with Sonika Sethi's, singing the song of Nanak, then Aarti by Nanak. We always end with an Aarti. So in that
Yes.
order.
Over to you, Shalini, ma'am.
Thank you, Inna. Thank you, Arindam. You'll have to forgive me all the mistakes that I make, but it's just a very humble attempt. हो तुम जानी पहचानी मेरी, ओहो विदेशिनी। हो तुम जानी पहचानी मेरी, ओहो विदेशिनी। तुम सागर पार रहती हो, ओहो विदेशिनी, ओहो विदेशिनी। तुम्हें देखा है शरद प्रात में, तुम्हें देखा है माधवी रात में, तुम देखी मेरे मन मंदिर में, ओहो विदेशिनी। मैंने गहन ध्यान से नव में सुनी है गीत तेरे। मैंने तुझे ही सौंपा है प्राण, हो विदेशिनी, ओहो विदेशिनी। ढूंढ फिरूं सारे जग में, अब आ गए नए देश में, बन पाऊं तेरे द्वार, ओहो विदेशिनी। हो तुम जानी पहचानी मेरी, ओहो विदेशिनी। तुम सागर पार रहती हो, ओहो विदेशिनी, ओहो विदेशिनी, ओहो विदेशिनी। Thank you.
Such a beautiful rendition of the popular song Ami Chini Go Chini Ogo Bideshini.
Thank
Over
you.
to you, Runa.
Thank you, Shalini, ma'am. That was soul-drenching and soul-stirring. That was beautiful, a most beautiful rendition and a very beautifully modulated. You have a wonderful voice.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Agree with you, Runa. I agree with you. Such a sweet,
Yeah.
melodious voice.
Thank
Yes.
you so
Now we
much.
can call Dr.
Yes.
Sonika Sethi. Yeah.
And now Sonika, we are waiting for your song.
Yes, thank you, Urna. And Shalini ma'am, I can't hold a candle to you. I mean,
Oh, no, I'm sure.
you are so melodious. And I mean, your singing is mellifluous. And I am sure since it's an aarti, and Arindam sir very kindly suggested this to me, that this aarti was sung by Guru Nanak at the Jagannath Puri temple, and which influenced Rabindranath Tagore. So he suggested this aarti to me, and I had only a couple of days to prepare this aarti. It's just a homage, so kindly excuse my flaws. गगन में ताल रव चंद दीपक बने, तारका मंडल जनक मोती। गगन में ताल रव चंद दीपक बने, तारका मंडल जनक मोती। धूप मल आन लो पवन चवरो करे, सगल बन राई फूलंत ज्योति। धूप मल आन लो पवन चवरो करे, सगल बन राई फूलंत ज्योति। गगन में थाल रव चंद दीपक बने, तारका मंडल जनक मोती। कैसी आरती होए भव खंडना तेरी आरती, भव खंडना तेरी आरती। अनहता शब्द बाजंत भेरी, अनहता शब्द बाजंत भेरी। सहस्तव नैन नन नैन है तोहे को, सहस मूरति मना एक तो ही। सहस्तव नैन नन नैन है तोहे को, सहस मूरति मना एक तो ही। गगन में थाल रव चंद दीपक बन, तारका मंडल जनक मोती। धूप मल आन लो पवन चवरो करे, सगल बन राई फूलंत ज्योति। सहस पद विमल रंग एक पद गंध, बिन सहस तव गंध इव चलत मोही। सहस पद विमल रंग एक पद गंध, बिन सहस तव गंध इव चलत मोही। सब में ज्योति ज्योत है सोई, सब में ज्योति ज्योत है सोई। तिसके चानन सब में चानन होय, तिसके चानन सब में चानन होय। गगन में थाल रव चंद दीपक बने, तारका मंडल जनक मोती। धूप मल आन लो पवन चवरो करे, सगल बन राई फूलंत ज्योति। गुर साखी जोत परगट होई, ज्योतिस भावे सो आरती होई। गुर साखे जोत परगट होई, ज्योतिस भावे सो आरती होई। हर चरण कमल मकरंद लोभित मनो, अनदिन मोहि आह प्यासा। हर चरण कमल मकरंद लोभित मनो, अनदिन मोहि आह प्यासा। कृपा जल दे नानक सारंग को, कृपा जल दे नानक सारंग को। होए जाते तेरे नाम वासा, तेरे नाम वासा, तेरे नाम वासा, होए जाते तेरे नाम वासा, तेरे नाम वासा, तेरे नाम वासा, कृपा जल दे नानक सारंग को, कृपा जल दे नानक सारंग को, होए जाते तेरे नाम वासा, होए जाते तेरे नाम वासा, होए जाते तेरे नाम वासा.
A beautiful rendition of Guru Nanak Dev Ji's Aarti, which many years later inspired Tagore to pen the very popular song in Bengali, Alu Amar Alo Go Alu Bhuvan Bhara. Over to you, Urna.
Thank you, Sonika. That was just dazzling. And you carried light and luminescence into this evening session of ours. Because also, I think Alo Amar Aloe Bhuban Bhara. And Aloe Bhuban Bhara very translated means the light transmits everywhere and the light transmutes everything. So thank you so much, Sonika, for transmitting so much of light and transmuting everything. And
Thank you so much.
that was beautiful. And a special thank you actually to Shalini ma'am and to Sonika for bringing the gift of song to our session.
I think the credit definitely goes to Arindam sir for, I mean, suggesting us and then posing his faith in us that we might be able to carry those. Though I didn't have any faith in me, but it was his faith that carried me forward. So thank you, and thank you for introducing me to this Aarti and to Tagore's song, Alo Amar Alo. So thank you for a wonderful evening. Over
And with that, like we are wrapping up, but before we wrap up and before I invite Arindam sir to propose the vote of thanks, I'd just like to say that I was there at the physical meet of Shantiniketan Literature Festival, and I saw how Arindam sir and his team, from conception, ideation to execution, the meticulous, like being so meticulous and taking care of everyone, all the poets, and of all the detailing that was looked into, whether it was the programming, whether it was taking us to Bishwabharati, whether it was the Baul music, which brought alive, the spirit of Shantiniketan, everything, so a big thank you to Arindam sir and his team. And without that, this session will seem very incomplete. And with that, over to you, Arindam sir.
Thank you, Urna. Before I propose the proper vote of thanks, you are very much a part of the team because the night before, Ornima and you were finalizing details. So here is a team member as well. Thank you for making everything seem so easy. A captain is as good as his or her team. So I begin my vote of thanks, thanking Onumita, who is not with us. She's caught up with certain other work, and she's the one who is working behind the scene always, all throughout, right from the conception stage, the ideation, the very idea of holding the program in Shanti Niketan came from her. And then there were a lot of others who joined in. You see, we had Orunima, who suddenly pinged one day, and we have known her many years, and she suddenly said that she was in Bolpur and if she could be of any help. So obviously we included us. And then there was this a friend in Bahrain. He suggested uh, Kishore Bhattacharya at Shantiniketan, who was also another pillar, of ours to organize the program. Uh, and of course, so many things happened before we could actually hold the program, conduct the program both at Shantiniketan and the online. So thanks once again. The we begin today's vote of thanks, thanking a chief guest of this evening, Geeti Tyagi, your wonderful paper. I'm sorry I had to interrupt in between because we were slightly overshooting. Uh, so it was wonderful hearing you, and you see, uh, it's amazing the way you brought out so many things and a multi-layered kind of a presentation. Dea Disanayake from Sri Lanka, a guest of honor. You brought in another aspect of popularizing Rabindra Sahitya as a Vishwa Sahitya. Yes, the process is on. A lot of people are working. It's a work in progress, and uh, every drop counts in the ocean. So you are most welcome to join us, even in the physical meet. Next year or the year after, whenever you feel like, you're most welcome to join us. Sonika Sethi, Dr. Sonika Sethi, uh, the second guest of honor. Thank you again for this, your beautiful presentation, your poem, and that lovely song, that Aarti by Tagore, by Nanak ji. It really transported us into another world, and we could realize sitting here again about 100 years later that how it could inspire Tagore to compose a song Alu Amar Alu Go Alu Bhuvan Bhara Alu Bhuvan Bhara. uh, some of us could not attend today, so I'm skipping the names. But of course, thank you to them also. Moshomi Bhattacharya, thank you. You told us about your childhood in Arunachal, and this kind of, I identified with it because I'm not from Bengal, and I'm not from Kolkata or Shantiniketan. But you see, our heart belongs there, and this love for Tagore and Bengal, that you cannot take the Bengali out of Bengalis even who are not in Bengal, is something that many of us carry forward. Yesterday we had Mala Sri Lal and others who are also Pravashi Bengali, who are domiciled Bengali, who are staying outside Bengal, but that does not stop them from being a part of Bengal in a larger sense. Thank you, Sudipta Mishra. You have been with us in many anthologies and in other sections also elsewhere. Wonderful to have you. Thank you, Urna, for conducting 2 days program. You emceed it beautifully. Your observation, your analysis, you know, on the feet were excellent. And with that,
So
I
Shalini ji,
Oh,
Shalini
I'm
ma'am.
sorry. I'm sorry. I missed out Shalini. Oh, thank you, Shalini. Uh, for your lovely lyrical paper. Even the paper you presented was such a lyrical one, as if we were listening to a song, being staged in prosaic manner. And your two songs, oh my God! And you felt that you wouldn't be able to do justice. Oh my God, you were one of the best we have had till date. And even when I told Onumita, she also conveyed her best wishes and thanks to you. Uh, she said, "Oh, she has such a melodious voice." And it was only last year that she was here and we heard you sing at Kolkata. Thank you. Thank you, Una, for reminding me. I'm so sorry, Shalini, I missed out. And it's a lovely evening. So with that, we are coming to a close. Uh, I will now disconnect. Good night. You can say good night. We can say good night to each other
Thank
before we
you.
close this.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you
Good
so much.
night, and
Good
thank you
night,
for a wonderful
everyone.
Thank
evening.
you.
And one comment by Sudipta. She says, thanks everyone for this fruitful session. It's really an awesome experience for me to be blessed with such eminent personalities. I agree with you. And
And
bye-bye, everyone. Have a
Arindam
Bye-bye.
sir,
wonderful.
Arindam
Yeah.
sir,
Yes, yeah.
before we leave, I would like to convey my heartfelt thanks to Narinderjeet Kaur ma'am, who had
Oh,
been with
yes.
us throughout the evening.
Oh,
And
wow. Yes, yes. Narendrajit ji has
I
been here.
think
I'm so
she has
sorry I
now logged out.
missed out. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Kollol and also Patricia. I'm so sorry I missed out on them. So thank you for reminding me. And of course, Ji is such a wonderful person. We had her with us in the physical meet, and she's an excellent person. She's angelic. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
thank you, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to join this. And may the Jeevan Devata look after all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now I'm closing the session,
Thank you. Bye-bye. Good
and
night.
Bye.
best of the weekend or whatever is left of it. Bye bye. Good night.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Right.